Well, I'm currently away from my studio, so I thought I'd pre-record a couple of extra episodes, and I thought there would be a couple of episodes that would be nice to look back at some of my older videos, perhaps videos that haven't been watched as much as I think they deserve to be watched, and then re-feature them for you. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. And yes, I'm away for a couple of weeks, and I thought this might be an interesting and good opportunity to revisit some of my old episodes. So I'm going to be making 3 revisited episodes, and I wanted to revisit 3 specific creation episodes or build episodes because at the moment I'm in the midst of preparing for, thinking about, planning and experimenting with an upcoming watch build, which I think is going to take me a little bit of time, effort, practice, but it does really excite me because I really like creating things and making things. So today I thought in preparation for that, whilst thinking about making things, I might revisit my custom watch box that I made a couple of years ago. Now this is an older video, so I do apologize for the sound or the quality, but please check it out, see the sort of interesting watch box that I created. Yes, it's happened again. I've grown out of my watch box. In fact, I have 2 watch boxes and I've outgrown both of them. Apparently, I've been buying too many watches. But the positive of that is that I now have a really good reason and really good motivation to build myself a brand new watch box. Hello, you're watching James. My name's James, you're watching me, and I am talking about watches. Well, yes, it's true. I've been buying too many watches apparently because I've outgrown my watch boxes. But if you've been watching my channel for a while, you know that I like to make things, I like to build things. I'm not particularly great at it, but I do really enjoy the process. And by needing a new watch box gives me the perfect reason, perfect opportunity to make myself a brand new watch box. And not just any watch box, I plan to make the ultimate watch box. And I'm making this video to show you my process along the way so you can join me on this journey of making myself a brand new, luxury, perfect, ultimate watch box. Let me show you the watch boxes that I have already, the ones that I've already made for myself. I first of all decided that I wanted to make a watch box some time ago. I started to make it and I really struggled to try and make those little sections where the actual watches go. So I eventually decided to slightly cheat, buy a cheap sort of watch box and then build around that watch box. Yes, I then inserted that watch box in amongst that box itself, put that drawer in there, made something that I really liked, but I certainly outgrew that one quickly, so I made a second one and I made a video about that, and I'll put a link to that later on in the video. So now I had 2 watch boxes that I really liked and that I was using consistently and that I was really happy with. However, I have to admit I was a little bit cheap when I bought those watch boxes, those initial boxes to build around. They're perfectly functional, they're perfectly fine, but they don't really have that sort of luxury feel to them that some watch boxes do. So by growing out of them, I've got the perfect opportunity now to make a watch box that actually has that little extra bit of luxury feel to it. Buy a watch box to build around that is particularly nice. Something that when I pull the watches out, they just have a really nice feel to them. Plus I get to make a watch box big enough that's going to fit all my watches that I have now and possibly expand to in the future, but also make it fit me perfectly. Fit me perfectly in regards to looks, in functionality, and be able to fit the things that I want to be able to put in it. And I really want to make myself something that's particularly special. Use all the skills that I have, limited as they may be, to try and create something a little bit special. So I need to buy a watch box that I need to build around that is also something a little bit special. I sort of know what I want in my head, but I really need to be able to find it. I've been looking online. Some of these brand new expensive watch boxes are particularly expensive and beyond the budget that I'm willing to spend. So I'm going to be looking secondhand and I'm not really sure what I'm going to find, and I'm just going to work around what I can find. But what I do plan to do is put a little bit more time, a little bit more energy, and possibly buy some really nice timber in order to make this thing a little bit special. So I want to take you on this journey of my watch box build. And I'm going to show you as I go along. I'm going to film as I go along. At this point in time, I've got a basic idea of what I want to do in my head, but it's really going to depend on what I end up buying in regards to that watch box that I'm going to build around. So for me, it's going to take a little bit of time to find that watch box, but for you, well, I'm going to show you right now what I end up buying in the future. So say hello to me in the future. So here's actually what I ended up picking up. It's a little bit different to what I expected, but I'm actually really happy with it because both is at the right size because it contains 20 spots for watches, but it is also really nice quality. Real timber, not that you're going to see much of it because it's all going to be enclosed inside the watch box that I'm making, but also just the inside when we open it up, really nice sort of felt designs here, individual spots for watches with nice cushions. I really quite like how it's all divided up as well. I think that's very, very cool. Not a big fan of the display window personally. As I said, it's going to be all covered up anyway with inside the watch box that I'm building. But when you do open up the watch box that I'm building, you are going to see it all like this. This in here, I'm probably going to cover with leather or something because I don't want to be able to see through that into the timber that I'm going to be putting there. But I'm really quite happy with it. The only thing about it, which I wasn't quite sort of looking to do, was that it is actually this way. So when you open up the watch box, the watches are going to be sideways, not front on, which is probably not exactly what I wanted, but I'm actually perfectly okay with that because the quality of this is really nice. Nice hinges as well because I'm actually going to be using this lid. I'm going to be building around it. So those hinges are going to stay there. I'm going to be removing that lock because it's going to be sliding in really nice and sort of very close to the box that I'm making. But I'm really quite happy with it. Happy with the quality, happy with the design, and it's definitely going to fit inside what I'm going to be making today. So let's see how we go here. I'm going to attempt to try and draw for you what is inside my head about what I'm planning to do. Let's see how we go here. So we've got that watch box already. All right. This looks like this. It's a nice looking watch box. And of course, drawing this as well as looking through a camera at the same time, not exactly easy. Actually, I'm going to stop looking at the camera and I'm going to start looking at it myself because that's within frame. This will be easier. So here's the watch box here. So inside here, we've obviously got these slots for the watches. What I want to do is extend that. And I want to extend it because inside here, what I want to do is put it like on an angle, a section here that has a big flat piece of leather, which I can then sort of lay watches down on top of. But I want more than that because what I want is a couple of drawers underneath. Yeah, I want to put some drawers in there that I can pull out and put all my bits and pieces in. So what it should end up looking like is a big rectangular box with a lid here which opens up that way. But I'm going to do something a little bit more interesting as well because I want to make it a little bit more interesting. Rather than that one go up as well, I'm going to have it come up that way. So it will lift up and it will lift across. Inside here, slightly leveled down sort of panel here, 2 drawers underneath. And I think that's going to be kind of cool. This watch box is obviously then going to sit inside timber, and I'm also going to make a timber new top for it as well. So it'll all be encased in timber. You won't see anything other than all timber until you actually open that watch box, until you open that side and you'll see leather, and then you'll see all the inside of that original watch box itself. These drawers, when I pull them out, I'm going to line them with the leather as well. I want this to be as good feeling as possible. I want to have a slight luxury feel to it, or at least a very nice feeling to it. So let's see how we go, shall we? So normally when I do a project like this, I come out into my shed and I look at all this wood that I've got here. This is stuff that I've scrounged. This is old furniture that I've found or I've been given that I've pulled apart, and I like to then reuse and recycle it. I like to sort of reuse that timber partly because, well, it then doesn't cost me anything, but it also gives it quite a good look as well. But it is also nice to recycle some timber. This time, however, I wanted to make it look a little bit better, a little bit premium, a little bit sort of more consistent as well. So I've actually gone out and bought some timber, and I'm going to utilise my saw there, my bench saw there, to chop it all up. And here we go. Here's the first few chunks already chopped up. So this bit here is going to be the lid, the other half of the lid. This is going to be the base, and these are going to be the uprights and the crosses and the uprights and the crosses and the uprights again. At this stage, I haven't cut all the front or the back because I think I'm going to have to sort of put it all together and then measure that up and then cut it to fit. Well, it's all starting to come together now. I've been able to screw a couple of things together. I don't want to screw everything together because I don't want to see screws from the outside. So this is the shelf for where the actual watch boxes are going to go. This one here is going to be a shelf where I'm just going to put some leather and be able to lie some watches flat and put my pocket watch. And then these two sections here, I'm going to have 2 drawers. So all I've done is put them together, glued them together, and then I've cut out that back plate to put on there as well. And as you can see over here, I've started working on the lid. So this is going to go on top of the watch box lid that's already there, sort of just surrounding it. So it will then fit in nice and tidy into the rest of it. Okay, I've actually done quite a lot since I last had the camera on. As you can see, I've put the face plate onto here. In behind here, I've put another face plate. This top here has now been fitted properly. There's no box in there yet, so this one's just going to lift up like that, so that watch box is going to go inside that. But the next bit there is this side here, which I'm going to have coming just like that. Inside here I've put another piece of timber, so it's on a very slight downward slope, and I've covered that in leather. And I wasn't really sure what hinges to use. I wasn't able to find the ones I wanted, so in order to get it to do that, I've just put a little piece of timber just there, just to work like that. So that works actually really well. I'm quite happy with that. So this obviously is going to lift up, and then that will lift across. But I've also done more than that, because I've also started on the drawers. So check out these drawers. So what I've done is I've made the drawers, and you can see I've sandwiched that piece of leather in between these bits of timber and this bit of timber in here, so it's a nice flat piece of leather in there as well. So they should just slide into the gaps here nice and neatly. You can see they're not finished at the moment on the front of them, so they'll sit in there like that. And then we have the finished panels here that will attach to the front of both of them. So it'll eventually sort of look a bit like that. Maybe a little bit need to move that across. So it should look a bit like that. So I'll attach those to the drawers, and they'll slide in and out, obviously. Well, it's almost done. I'm getting a little bit excited now. I've just put these 2 panels on the front of the drawer that are inside there with some glue. Got these weights on the top there just to squish it down so that the glue dries. Put some little stuff on the bottom so when it sits down it's not going to scratch anything. I've glued the top part of this to the top of the actual watch box itself that's in there. I've put this one on here. I've put the brackets there. I put a little thing here so it doesn't fall over, so it sort of, when it comes out, it stops and sits. And I think it's going to look quite good. Put a little bit of that oil on there as well, so you can see the difference between the base wood there and the oiled wood. Yeah, so it really brings out that grain, so I'm going to be really quite excited. So I'm just going to leave that for a few more hours before that glue completely dries, and then I'm going to show you what it's like all finished and done. So I'm actually really excited to share with you guys how it's turned out. Now, I think I'm about 99% finished. There's a couple of things that I may change to a little bit later. As you'll see, these drawers down here don't have any sort of knobs or anything to hold onto them. I am thinking that perhaps I might just put a little cutout just in here so I can grab it and pull it open. But I'm just going to see how it sort of feels as I'm sort of using it, because as it is, it's actually fairly easy to open them up without that. And it has that really cool, clean look without having anything sort of stuck onto it. So what do we got? First of all, we've got this big lid here. Now we'll lift that one up, and you can see we've got the inside of that watch box that I initially bought there. So all the watches are sat inside here, yep, and we can pull them out, put them back in again. You can see here, I've left the glass there. I wasn't initially going to cover that up, but look at the color of the wood through that glass. I think that looks really cool. Now, this is actually glued onto the top here, so that can't move. However, I didn't end up actually having to glue this in here. I made this so perfect that when it sat in there, I had to sort of force it down because the air was being trapped. It was like a vacuum. It was really cool. Now this one opens up here. Now as I've got it sitting where I have got it sitting, it actually touches this wall and stops, but I have got this little thing in there so that if it's not sitting in this spot, it will stop and sit about there anyway. You'll see that I've got a nice little panel here that's covered in leather, and it's up on an angle. You'll see it sort of starts up around the right sort of level there, but then it drops down. So I've got this little bit of a level showing off my watches on the leather straps, and a nice little spot there for my pocket watch. Now underneath here we've got 2 drawers. So as you can see, you can just grab it by one side. All my sort of bits and pieces, sunglasses and wallets and bits and pieces. This one here I have not filled up yet. I haven't even figured out what to put in this one here, but it's a nice big long solid drawer. Now you see that is all nice and leather filled as well, and you'll see if you look along here, that's actually the leather there. It's trapped in between those two pieces of wood. So I cut that piece of wood right there. I then placed the leather on top so it was the perfect amount, and then I put these other pieces of timber on and screwed them through so that I've got this lovely piece of flat leather. Same with this one here, same with this bit up here, so that there wasn't any sort of weird edges trying to stick in there. Then on the front, I've just stuck on these panels here, so it then fits in nicely with the rest of the whole build. And clicks in just like that. I'm really happy with that. I think that is like the ultimate watch box. Well, at least it's my ultimate watch box. I'm really impressed. What do you guys think? You think it's pretty good? I have to admit, I'm fairly impressed by it. I had to do a few little minor modifications at the end, but to be honest, I'm really quite impressed with how well the measurements worked out. Normally when I build things, I use scrap timber, and as a result, it's all a bit wonky, and I have to end up doing a lot of sort of problem solving as I go along. With this one, because I did buy brand new, nice flat timber, all the measurements really sort of worked out. The only thing I had to change was this sort of lid here when I made it. It was a tiny little bit too small for the top, so I couldn't quite get it on. So I had to sand a little bit on the inside of the back here, but literally it was 5 minutes worth of sanding, which I was really impressed with. Also, this cut here and the same one on the back, it was a little bit too far that way, so I was grabbing onto that lid. So I just had to sort of sand that little lip, and the same on the other side as well, just to allow this lid to go up and down perfectly. Now this one here may need to be sanded a touch, because they sort of do touch that sort of lid there, that edge there is just touching that one there. So I may end up putting a little bit of sanding there just to give that a little bit more of a gap. But as you can see, it all opens up easily anyway, so there's no real issue. Really impressed with the final outcome. All right. I'm going to finish up there, guys. I'm not going to bother switching back to me. There's no point doing that. What do you guys think of my build? Are you impressed? Do you think you could do something similar? Do you think I could have done something a lot better? And what do you think about the entire sort of build process anyway? Was it a good quality video? Did you enjoy it? If you enjoyed this one though, this sort of style, I'm going to leave a couple more of my other things that I have built and made along the way. I'm definitely going to make other things. It's just purely sort of making them as I need them though, so they're not really making things that I don't need. And I definitely needed a bigger watch box. As always, guys, thanks for watching.